Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 8:06 here on the great WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2, 617-266-6868. You can also text us 680-680. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. All right, this is a story that I teased yesterday. In fact, Ed Snowden, in his interview with Brian Williams, also touched on it. And I rarely say something like this, but this is one of the most important segments. I think Cooksey and I agree on this, that the Kuhner Report... Yeah, why? That's the most important segment? Really? Okay, I don't think I say it that often.
You say it constantly.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Brittany agrees, too.
Okay, well, this is like one of the super most important segments that I've ever done on this show.
Is it a bombshell?
We had a tech person come in, Tommy, who works for Entercom. He's a tech guy, really, well-versed on technology issues. And he explained to us what is now happening with Facebook through our iPhones and the whole NSA surveillance program. And I've got to tell you, my friends, after I've explained to you everything now in terms of this new technology that's being introduced, you tell me how we don't start living very soon in a totalitarian society. And I'm choosing my words very, very carefully. Facebook has just announced a new update, a new feature to its app. Now, which check this out, which will let it listen to our conversations and surroundings through our phone's microphone. Let me repeat that. There is now a new app which Facebook is announcing, which will allow it to listen to all of our conversations and surroundings through our own phones' microphones. And so here's how it works, and this is how Tommy explained it to Cooksey and I. Most of us now have iPhones. I have one.
Brittany was there, too. She's complaining that you're leaving her out.
I'm sorry. Brittany was there, too. Sorry. No offense, Brittany. So he spoke to Brittany, myself, and Cooksey. We all have iPhones. And apparently now with this new, and everybody's on Facebook, or a lot of people are on Facebook. Apparently now there's this new app whereby it's now going to be installed in one's iPhones, whereby when Facebook ever wants to, automatically, willy-nilly, at its own discretion, whenever it feels like it. Hold on, Brittany, just flip me the bird. She just walked into the studio and just flipped me the bird. What the hell? What the hell? Okay, but anyway, to see the kind of respect I get from my own staff, but let that go, I digress. So according now to this new Facebook app, which is going to be installed on most iPhones, they can now, whenever they want, when you don't even know it, without even giving you a heads up, can automatically just turn on the microphone in your phone. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you see reporters asking politicians questions, they no longer use a tape recorder, because now everybody's using the iPhone. iPhone can be used as a tape recorder. They can turn it on automatically. Facebook can turn it on automatically on your phone with this new app. And so when you least expect it, they can just listen to all of your conversations, whether it be at home, whether it be in the car, whether it be at work, wherever you may be. And not only that, they can also activate the camera on your iPhone. So they can watch you and spy on you and take pictures of you. Whether you're in the bathroom, whether you're in the bedroom, whether you're at home, whether you're in the car, whether you're at work, wherever you are. And here is the kicker. And this is what Tommy stressed to both Cooksey, Brittany, and I. Who do you think has been one of the biggest partners with the NSA in helping to collect internet and phone data? You guessed it, Facebook. By the way, as well as Microsoft, as well as Google, as well as Twitter, it's going on everywhere. So the point is this. Through private technology, in alliance, big business, in alliance with big government, we have now created 1984. We now can be watched at all times. We can be recorded and listened to at all times. How come the American people don't know this? How come this is not being told to us? How come we're being kept in the dark about this? So I want you to think about what's happening here, okay? And I get this from a lot of people. A lot of people say, well, I have a clean life. I don't do anything wrong. If they want to keep recording me as my cell phone is on or whatever my iPhone is on, what do I care? Really? Really? What if Cooksey and I, whatever, on a Friday night or after work, just kicking back and relaxing, we make an off-color joke?
Brittany's the one who would be doing it.
Or Brittany, yeah, Brittany would probably be the one doing it.
She's filthy.
Brittany's got a bit of a potty mouth, but but let that go. So Brittany makes an off-color joke, and it can be misinterpreted as a kind of a racist joke or a racially tinged joke. Boom. It's all over. Donald Sterling. We can all now become Donald Sterling. It now goes everywhere. The government can use it against you. The NSA can use it against you. It can be used to blackmail you. You're at home in the privacy of your whatever. You're picking your nose. They can film it. Whatever you're doing, anything that could be potentially humiliating or embarrassing, they now can record it. They now can film it. They now can take pictures of it. Unlike in 1984, where you have an eye looking at you everywhere, now it's through your phone, it's through your computer, it's even now through chips they're putting in televisions.
The scary part of what he said, though, if you remember, Jeff, was it doesn't matter if you turn your phone off. You know, some people think I turn my phone off, you can't hear me. They can still activate it with your phone turned off. Which is why, if you have an iPhone, if you've ever wondered why you can never actually take the battery out like you can with other phones, because even though you shut it off, they still have the way to turn all of it on.
Yeah, I mean, I have an iPhone, and I'm like, where's the battery on this thing? I thought because I'm just not very technologically, apt. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I'm not very technologically sophisticated. I'm like, it's got to be neat. There's got to be some way to get the battery out. Tommy explained, he goes, no, that's the whole purpose. So even when it's off, they can turn it on. Even when it's off, they can activate it. And Tommy was telling us this has been an open secret in the tech community now going back years, whereby they've been able to spy on people using Facebook, using this new kind of sophisticated technology. That's what Ed Snowden deliberately said to Brian Williams. He says now, through your phones they can spy on you, through their cameras they can spy on you, they can listen to you. So I want you to think about this. The society we're now entering, this brave new world, this 1984, this Orwellian world, every move you make, every word you utter, anything you do, the NSA, through Twitter, through Google, through Facebook, through your iPhone, can hear you, can watch you, can monitor you. And to all of you sitting in the car, many of you liberal progressives out there, saying, oh, but I'm so politically correct. I never have a bad thought. Really? You've never made an off-color joke? What if you have an affair on your wife or your boyfriend? Or your husband? What if you're picking your nose in the bathroom? What if, whatever it is, something that's a bit private and frankly no one else's business? You want them to be able to have that kind of information? What if you want to light up a joint? Just as an example. And now they know what you're doing? It doesn't even matter if it's against the law. They can do it to humiliate you. What if in the privacy of your own home, and you know me, I'm not a big fan of pornography, but you want to watch pornography, and they say, oh, let me humiliate this guy. What if, like what they did with that soldiers in Iraq when they were calling back to their wives and their girlfriends, and they were NSA agents listening in on the, quote, pillow talk? This is the ultimate form of dehumanization, where everywhere you go, a stranger will be watching you. Everywhere you go. Everything you do. And we've made this point before, but we have to make it, and I have to make it again. We are ultimately to blame. Look at the new generation in particular. To me, it's incredible. They're on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, all these social media sites. They document everything about their lives. They're telling the world everything that they're doing. The government doesn't need to spy on them. They're spying on themselves. I'm at the movie theater right now. I'm having a popcorn right now. I'm going to the bathroom right now. So let me ask all of you this. Do you think that we should enable the technology whereby now we literally have no privacy, no sphere of our own, where now we can be monitored and surveilled every second, every waking moment of the day? 617-266-6868 is the number. Have we now truly become a totalitarian society? Donna, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Oh, Jeff, God, I've got the goosebumps on this. It gives me the freaks. I wanted to tell you it's even bigger than this. Part of this controlling on our lives, I told you Sunday I'd let you know a little bit more about this, but it's part of this whole thing with them watching and controlling everything. These smart meters are installed across the United States. I wanted to try to get mine off my house, and it turns out that they're actually across the world, and there's major protests and moratoriums and so forth across the whole United States and the world on it. And what they're trying to do is control remotely from the utilities what your usage is. And if they can literally shut it off, there's people in Switzerland that have had their washing machine shut off. They're controlling the water temperatures in hotels in London where they can't get a hot bath. There's people in the Midwest that cannot get their heat up enough. The feds mandated. I tried to find out where this came from. It came from the feds. The short story is it originally goes all the way to the top to the UN's Agenda 21. This is about the climate change, quote unquote. The cap and trade, it's enormous amounts of money. Al Gore owns a carbon credit company. Obama and Soros years ago have part of the Chicago Climate Exchange. They're going to be making boku bucks on it, in spite of all the evidence that what happens is they put the meter on your house. The meter reader no longer has to come to your house. It emits radiation. They've had spontaneous fires. San Bruno, California had a major explosion because the smart meter triggered the gas meter, and it had a giant explosion on it. And they can track what your usage is. They can tell if you're home. They know if you're using a certain appliance. If you're in the middle of baking a cake or taking a shower or, washing your clothes, and they say, okay, it's peak usage now, you're going to have to pay, and many people already are around the world, either triple the rate, doubles and triples, or they're going to actually shut it off in the middle of your washing. These people were complaining about that in Switzerland. They will decide they're going to be putting chips in all the appliances. I understand GE by 2015 wants to have all of their appliances have the chip in it so that it can talk directly to the utility companies. The federal mandate was only for
Donna, you're breaking up on us, but so basically what you're saying is it's not just now even with the iPhones, it's not just now with the iPods, it's not just with Facebook. You got these smart meters when these chips now being installed. It's happening in Europe, it's happening everywhere. Unless we wake up and say enough is enough, my friends, 1984 has come. Big Brother is watching everywhere all the time. 617-266-6868. Helen, you're up next on the Great WRKO. Oh, sorry, Helen, hold on. Paul, you're up next on the Great WRKO. Thanks and welcome.
Jeff, there's an old song, I think it's from the 1980s or 90s. Rockwell is the singer and Michael Jackson's in there. And I always feel like somebody's watching me. I watch people right outside my house in Somerville taking a bus to Kendall Square. They all line up in an orderly queue. And if you ask these people if they trust the government, if they trust Deval Patrick, do they trust Obama, do they trust the FBI or the IRS, they have no clue. This is a country of sheeple. And when you become a sheep, you have a government of wolves. And they're eating us alive. And people think we're exaggerating. They think we're whack jobs. No, we're not. We're living in reality.
Look, Paul, all right? This is, this is a story that was just released. Here, let me just read to you the story, okay? This is a news story. Facebook just announced, here, you decide if you think the Kuhner man's exaggerating. Facebook just announced a new feature to its app, which will let it listen to our conversations and surroundings through our own phones as microphone. Talk about a Big Brother move. Facebook says the feature will be used for harmless things. It's always harmless at first, like identifying the song or TV show playing in the background. But by using the phone's microphone every time you write a status update, it has the ability to listen to everything. Not only is this move just downright creepy, it's also a massive threat to our privacy. The feature is opt-in, but many won't even read the warnings. Now, I gotta stop right there. That's what Tommy told us. Technically, there is an opt-in feature, but it's so obscure and it's so hard to read and find it that basically most people don't even realize it and they're just gonna skip ahead. So 99% of the people aren't going to realize this, and they're just going to say, yeah, sure, just download it, it's no problem. It continues. If we act now, we can stop Facebook in its tracks before it has a chance to release the feature. Tell Facebook not to release its creepy and dangerous new app feature that listens to users' surroundings and conversations. What business? Is it a Facebook? Or Twitter, or Google, or Microsoft, or the NSA, or the dear leader, or the federal government to be listening in on our private conversations? Seriously, what is this? The KGB? East Germany? This is so outrageous on so many levels, it's not even funny. And they're like, oh, we'll find out what songs you're listening to. Oh, we'll find out what TV shows you watch. That's none of your damn business, what songs I listen to or TV shows I watch. And you're going to tell me that from that point on, you're not going to say, oh, let me see what it's 9:30 at night. What is Cooksey doing? Ooh, he's in the shower. Ooh, what's he doing in the shower? This is opening the door to an Orwellian totalitarian state. My friends, enough is enough. We're losing our freedoms, and it's time we said no more. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, first of all, let me just say that every conversation I've had with Brittany has been an uplifting, sophisticated conversation. Now, I don't know about the party mouth, but anyhow, Jeff, you know, what scares me the most is the people that relish in this technology, the agencies that will have this authority. And I'm afraid, not that they're just going to watch what you're doing, but the vendetta against people like you, the voices of freedom. They're going to squelch you people, and they're going to set you up. They're going to put things on your computer that would make your hair stand up. And then when they come for you, Jeff, on me, they're going to say, look what you had on your computer, pal. Come with us. They're going to, this is what I'm afraid of, the people that relish in this technology and the people that will set up the opposing opinions against them. That's what I'm afraid of, Jeff.
Thank you for that call, Mike. Well, Tommy also stressed to us now that it's so easy to hack into servers that I said, look, Tommy, if you wanted to break into my Facebook or Twitter account and just send out a message where it would come out under my name or whatever under Jeff Kuhner, but it's like, such and such is an N. Or, use a homophobic, a homosexual slur or whatever, a racist term. Could you do that? He goes, in a flash. In a flash. And before you know it, you've been destroyed. That's the new era we're now entering. My friends, let me ask you this. Do you think we should be enabling Facebook and other private companies, without our consent or knowledge, to secretly tape our conversations through our iPhones or take pictures of us at any time during the day. 617-266-6868 is the number. 826 on the Great WRKO. All of your calls next. 828 here on the Great WRKO. They're partying in the booth. Brittany and Cooksey are raising
Get your lighters up.
They're dancing. They're having a good time. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text us at 680-680. I think this texter nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. From 860. Jeff, the Fourth Amendment only applied to the government, not companies. Then the companies can, quote, share, unquote, with government as, quote, good stewards, unquote. Backdoor police state policy. Bingo, baby. Jenny, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go, Jenny.
Hello, Jeff. I just wanted to say, I told Cooksey this too. I think they're already doing it because when I'm on my iPad or even on my phone, at the top of my iPad, Google comes up. It has a little microphone there that's flashing, and it says, hello, how are you? So I think they're already doing it.
Jenny, I got to tell you, I mean, I didn't want to get Tommy on because I think he'd be nervous to come on. He's a really good tech guy. But he was showing us how easy it is to activate this thing. And he also showed it. He just took it. He said, here, look, he took it. He threw it in the corner of the booth, of the studio. Okay, he was staring at me. There was Cooksey and Brittany right beside me. He took his iPhone. He goes, look, and he just threw it into the corner. And he said, now watch. It's already taping. And so he was talking to us for like 10, 15, 20 seconds. He went back into the corner and he said, you see, it listened to our entire conversation. And he played it right back to us. And I'm telling you, it was crystal clear. So I said, Tommy, what you're basically saying is this is the ultimate bug. You don't have to bug people's phones. The phones are already bugged. .838 here on the Great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868. This is from 781. Jeff, that's why in the movies the mafia guys always use the phone booth. Now it's going to be pretty tough. I mean, now with all this new technology, pretty much they can listen in on you, spy on you, wherever you go, according now to what we're finding out about Facebook. And Facebook has been very close with the NSA over the last couple of years. My question to you is this. Facebook has now announced a new feature to its app that will allow Facebook and their partnership with the NSA to turn on your iPhone at any time and listen to your private conversations or take pictures of you wherever you may be. Do you now feel that we are spying on each other? Do you now feel that we have lost all privacy? Is this now George Orwell's worst nightmare come true? 617-266-6868. Damon, you're up first. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, Jeff. You know, what they're going to do is they're going to come out and say, well, this is how we're going to keep you safe from terrorists. But really what this is a new weapon for the left. If you're affiliated with the Tea Party or you're coming out declaring your candidacy as a Republican or whatever with a few keystrokes, they can create your digital dossier. And since these technologies have been introduced, they can listen to and go back to and through and watch through that digital dossier everything that you've been doing. And if there's anything in there that they can destroy you as a candidate with, Jeff, they're going to do it. You'll be on the news.
Oh, I know, Damon. Look, and honestly, that's why Grace was the one who, my wife told me this many years ago. She said, Jeff, in the business that you're in, with the powers that be that you constantly confront and expose, you better be clean as a whistle. And I'm not saying I'm a saint, don't get me wrong, but really I try to be as above board as possible in all things. Because if they can find the dirt, believe me, they'll use it. 617-266-6868. This is from 774. The texts have really been superb on this. Jeff, the cover story about the Facebook app is to identify your music, movie, and TV preferences. If I want Facebook to know what entertains me, I'll post it myself. I don't want everyone knowing my guilty pleasures. Bingo, 774. This is from 603. Jeff, update your Facebook app on your phone and look at what they want you to agree to for access. That's what I'm saying, 603. It's unbelievable. I asked my wife, is it me? Am I just getting old? But who would ever agree to this? You have to agree to let them control your phone, camera, microphone. They can even, by the way, read your text messages. This is it. You want spying? You want surveillance? This is the ultimate, baby. 617-266-6868. Kate, you're up next on WRKO. Go, Kate.
After hearing all of this information, my question to you and all of your listeners, why even give them a chance to spy on you? Simply don't use Facebook. Don't use any social networking. It's not necessary. I'm 35 years old. I'm probably the only one out of my family and friends who does not have a Facebook account. And guess what? I'm able to live my life, Jeff. Everything's okay.
No, I mean, look, I'm with you. I mean, the thing is, look, it's become such an important... Look, the moment I got this job, they said, Jeff, we want you on Facebook. Jeff, we want you on Twitter. It's just, I don't know, it's just part of social pressure. It's just part of what life is. But you know what Brittany said? Yeah, was it 2 days ago when we had that conversation with Tommy? She goes, I'm going to go back to the old cell phone. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the old BlackBerry. Honestly? They used to make fun of me. I had one of those old BlackBerry phones. Last year I upgraded to the iPhone. I may go back to that old lemon BlackBerry. At least they can't spy. Yeah, it was a good phone. The phone worked. Except, you don't have internet on it. You can't. Oh, you have internet on BlackBerry?
Yes.
I didn't know that. So my phone didn't even, okay, but anyway. But
it probably did, you just don't know how to use it.
Yeah, I'm not very technologically sophisticated, but I'm just going to go back to the old BlackBerry. I need to be spied on like I need a hole in the head. Judy, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I never call because I'm a nervous wreck to even to call, but this has got me so freaked. And I have a Mac Pro, and it's always popping up telling me to do updates. And I usually put it off because I'm leery. Well, now I notice there's a new thing that pops up. When I plug in my phone, my iPhone, to charge it, it says, Facebook didn't recognize the log information you entered for the account. And it says my name. Now, I keep canceling it. I don't put it in. I don't know what it's for. Why does Facebook have anything to do with my iPhone or my computer?
Well, that's the racket. Is now they got their apps. They made a deal. And so now Facebook is part, of the iPhones, is part of people's computers. Now, Judy, I'm getting a lot of texts from people that are saying, delete your Facebook account. I'm deleting it right now. What Tommy told me and told us is, don't bother, because they can save what you deleted. So the only way to delete it, according to Tommy, is you have to do it very slowly, because if you delete it very quickly,
they'll know something's up.
They'll know something's up, and then they'll save everything.
Well, I've been deleting all my pictures slowly, one by one, just getting rid of it.
Judy, that's the way to do it.
How do we get together? How do like-minded people, how does our corner country converse together? I just don't know. I mean, how can conservatives meet up?
Look, Judy, here's the thing, okay? Facebook is fine. They're trying to use it through the iPhones. So if you're on Facebook and you're just chatting among yourselves on Facebook, it's fine. Now, you're probably being monitored, but we knew that anyway. What to me is scary is they have this app they want to download now on all the iPhones, whereby you can record me at any time or take pictures of me at any time. At any time. So no conversation is private, nothing is off the record, anything can be used. Now, notice the Republicans, silent. The Democrats, silent. The dear leader, silent. John Bonehead, silent. You know why? Because this is the ultimate way by the ruling class to control us. 617-266-6868. We're now joined by Larry Kudlow. He is a CNBC host. He's also a nationally syndicated columnist. You can catch his show every Saturday evening here on the great WRKO. It's brought to us by South Shore Bank. Larry, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report. Oh, did we get Larry? Hey, Larry? Do you have a connection problem with Larry? Hello, Larry.
No, I'm here.
Hey, Larry. So, okay, we had a bit of a connection problem. Larry, how are you today, Larry?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Larry, so, I mean, I just want to get your take on this. Obama gave his speech on foreign policy. We've analyzed it to death here on the Kuhner Report. But he brags in his speech at how strong the American economy is, how we're leading the world, how there is no peer, there are no rivals to our economic strength and economic might. What do you say, Larry? Is our economy strong? Are we still the world's economic superpower? Do we have no economic rivals or peers?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because I think we may be the strongest economy, but we are a weak economy, and it's damaging us overseas. That's the Reagan rule. The Reagan rule is strength at home means strength abroad, and we don't have that.
And now
we're not feared, we're not respected, and anyway, he has no coherent foreign policy view.
Larry, I'm just curious, if you look at this administration, the last 5.5 to 6 years, when everything is said and done, do you think now we're economically stronger than we were 6 years ago?
Well, look, if you want to go back to the crash of 2008, the answer is yes. Okay, we're out of that emergency. We're out of the crash. But this is the worst economic recovery in post-World War II history. That's a very important point. We're running about 2.3% over nearly 5 years. We, frankly, should be running twice as fast, okay? We should be running 4 to 5% off of a very deep downturn. We are not. One reason we are not is we've had unbelievable fiddling and obstacles to incentives to grow. We've been raising tax rates with the threat of more tax hikes to come. We've been bashing businesses. Rather than pro-business, Obama is anti-business. We've had a regulatory surge. Federal Register pages are soaring under Obama. That's largely because of Obamacare, but it's also because of the EPA going after the coal industry and the National Labor Relations Board going, snap elections for unions, things of that sort. Our monetary policy, we just keep throwing money at the system, and it's not working. We're seeing that day in and day out now. The Federal Reserve is telling us they're not going to raise interest rates in any significant way for many years to come. That's one reason there's a bond rally going on. Rates are coming down. The stock market is going up because rates are coming down. You look at yesterday's GDP report, I grant you the negative 1% is an overstatement of weakness because of the winter weather. However, when you dig below the top line, look inside the thing, what you're finding is an economy that is only growing at about 1.5%. It's not taking off, as many economists have been predicting. It's not going to 3. It's not going to 4. You may get a rebound in the second quarter, but I'm saying the trend line for growth is still a very weak subpar 2%, or maybe slightly better. And to me, this violates the Reagan rule. The Reagan rule was international strength, respect, and fear overseas comes from a strong domestic economy here at home. That's why Reagan could outbid Gorbachev in 85 and 86 and 87, and that ultimately led to the decline and collapse of the Soviet Empire. But we don't have this strength at home. We don't have corporate tax reform. We don't have regulatory reform. We are blocking incentives. We are nationalizing health care. The VA administration tragedy is a perfect example of why a government-run health care system is a disaster. So we don't have the growth here, and we are not feared and respected overseas. And on top of that, the president's own foreign policy is virtually incoherent. Nobody can figure out what the guy really wants.
We're talking with Larry Kudlow, host of CNBC, nationally syndicated columnist, and of course you can hear his great radio show every Saturday evening here on the great WRKO. Larry, in terms of Obama, we now found out that the first quarter, apparently we had negative economic growth. It was even worse than we thought. Do you think by the time November rolls around, is the economy going to be an albatross on him and on the Democrats going into the midterms?
Well, I think so. I mean, again, a lot of that minus 1% was weather-related. But if you clear that away, and you take a look at some of the underlying numbers, what you're really looking at is 1.5%, maybe 2% economy. And that is very poor. And although we have had some job creation in recent months, we're getting back to maybe 180, 190,000 jobs a month. We ought to be at 300,000 jobs a month, and we're seeing a continued decline in the participation rate. People are dropping out of the labor force. The overall underemployment rate is above 11%, even while the stated rate is 6.3. The amount of people working, employment to population, continues to decline, staying around 58%. It should be 65%. So look, these are things that people feel acutely. These are more than abstract numbers. These are people who've left the labor force. They're totally discouraged. They'd rather use their government benefit, possibilities, or they're just not working as hard. And again, I argue that instead of creating incentives, instead of being optimistic and positive about the economy, the president spends most of his time talking about inequality and taxing the rich, and that's a very negative message. That's a very anti-business message. That's a very anti-success message. That kind of message trickles down. It damages psychology. Businesses have no idea particularly what Obamacare is going to wind up doing to them in terms of penalties. Obamacare has already destroyed the individual insurance market. Will it destroy the the big business insurance market? We don't know. But until we do know, these companies that do have cash do not wish to invest. And so the dynamic of putting money to invest 10 years, creating jobs and raising wages, that dynamic is not there. Wage growth is alarmingly low right now, and consumer spending has, basically gone nowhere. So my point, again, one of the things I learned from Reagan when I worked there, and I think history now proves, if you have a strong domestic economy, if you have the envy of the world, people will respect you, they will fear you, and they will follow you. But we have so diluted our free market capitalist model with all these sideshows. Here's an example, easy one. Instead of raising the minimum wage, which is going to raise unemployment, damage low-end workers, a terrible job destroyer, instead of doing that nonsense, why don't we abolish the corporate tax in its entirety, where economists say the biggest beneficiaries would be wage earners, so that the corporations would be able to pass along the savings in the form of higher wages and lower consumer prices. And the CBO and other estimators have shown what a growth tonic that would be. Either lower the corporate tax or abolish the corporate tax, create incentives to bring the money home from overseas for investment here. These are things Obama should be doing, but he doesn't want to do it because he's still running a jihad against businesses. He still wants to tax them so he can use the money for additional spending, on his pet clean energy projects and things of that sort. This is fundamentally an administration that is hostile to business, quite unlike Reagan, and that takes its toll. That absolutely takes its toll. We have no animal spirits going on in this economy. And then, why should Putin respect us? Why should the Iranians respect us? Why should the Syrians fear us? Why should the Chinese fear us? In some sense, the Chinese economy is at least as good as ours and maybe better. I don't know. What I'm saying is, 30 years ago, when Reagan went to Reykjavik with a 5% economy, the U.S. had proven that our free market capitalist system with supply-side tax cuts worked. And then the rest of the world began to follow us. That's not happening today. The rest of the world is not fearful of the U.S. economy, and that's why we don't have their respect.
We have been talking with Larry Kudlow, CNBC host, nationally syndicated columnist, and of course you can listen to his radio show every Saturday evening here on AM 680 WRKO. Larry, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report. I appreciate it.
My great pleasure.
Take care, Larry.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Well, I don't view us as the Republican base. I view us as American citizens.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.
617-266-6868. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. My friends, Open Lines Friday. Any topic, any discussion, any comment, anything you want to talk about, nothing is off the table. 617-266-6868. If you want to continue talking about the Facebook story, we can continue doing that. But literally, Chief Spreading Bull, Republican philosophy, I got mine. The rest of you are on your own. We can talk about the whitewash DCF report for Mini-Me, the Dear Leader speech. Whatever you want to talk about, my friends, I leave the last hour open to you, Kuhner Country. Jimmy, you're up first. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Jeff, that's stunning. I mean, negative growth. And the show that follows yours last week, they said that food prices, went up more in the past year than they ever have. And you know what that means? It affects absolutely everything and devalue the dollar. But let that go. What I called about is you had mentioned you wanted the phone with simple features, so do I. I want to be able to call, receive calls, and get voice messages. And I got a nice little phone, and I just got notified by Metro PCS that they're phasing that out. So even if you have a phone with simple features, it's going to have smartphone technology. And now the other thing, too, is that it's funny, you had mentioned that a friend of mine, we were talking about what dangerous ground you're on, like how fantastic it is that you're here. And he says one of these days he's going to get Andy Duke hands, they get a dirty cop. Well, he seemed under the influence, and, the next day Jeff will be in the papers, and, and that'll be the end of him, But with this, given that technology, in the hands of people like this, it really is frightening,
No, I know. And Jimmy, in all seriousness, that's why I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never done drugs a day in my life. This started all the way back when I went to D.C. I'll never forget this. I was the editor of Insight Magazine, the sister publication of the Washington Times.
Right.
And the publisher was Robert Morton. And he's a good friend of mine. He runs World Tribune, and I write a column for World Tribune. And we were just sitting around. He's been in D.C. for like 30 years. And I said, Robert, all I just really want to do is just expose the truth. I'm a journalist, just expose the truth. And he said, listen, Jeff, you want to expose the truth in this city with so much power and money and vested interests at stake? He goes, let me tell you something. You have to be beyond reproachable. Beyond reproachable. And so I took that to heart. Look, I'm not saying I'm a saint. Please, don't get me wrong. But I'll tell you this. No girlfriends, no mistresses in Kuhner's closet, no boozing, no drugs, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. So maybe they'll try to bust me on some trumped-up DUI, but I don't drink. So they'll have to really be creative if they want to nail the Kuhner man. 617-266-6868. Joe, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on the great WRKO. Welcome, Joe.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Joe?
Good. Jeff, I'm an electrical engineer, so I have some tips for your listeners, and that is that both cell phones and electric power meters run on RF, radio frequency. So if you want them to stop listening to you, you stop the RF. How do you do that? Well, when you go home, you can put your cell phone in a microwave. Obviously, don't turn the microwave on. If you turn the microwave on, I take no responsibility for that. When you're out and about, you can go to any Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a small metal, it has to be all metal, toolbox. So if you're out and about and you don't want them listening to you or knowing where you're going because the GPS functionality is on, you also can just put your cell phone in that metal box. You won't be able to receive any calls, but they won't be able to listen to you. They won't be able to video you, and they won't be able to tell you where you are because none of their RF frequency will be able to go back to them.
Joe, I'm not trying to be cute or anything. In all seriousness, I mean, what about tinfoil? Why don't I just wrap up my iPhone in a tinfoil?
You can. That obviously will work as well.
Would that do the job?
Yes, it will.
See, Joe, here's what I don't get. Put it in a metal box, stick it in a microwave, wrap it in tinfoil. How about we all, just call me crazy here, Joe, call me old-fashioned, call me a right-wing extremist. How about we just have a phone where nobody's spying on us?
That would be ideal, but that's not the world.
You know what I'm saying here, Joe?
Yes, but if you frustrate them, they will stop trying to do this. The other thing you can do for your meter, so you should know that the electric company owns the meter, the glass part. They own that. You don't own the glass part. But you do own the meter socket. That is the metal part that the glass part plugs into. Since you own the meter socket, you can put a metal box on your meter socket that surrounds their glass meter. Then they won't be able to transmit anything to and from the meter. You can also make it with a cardboard box with tinfoil on the inside. The same principle would hold.
Okay, Joe, listen. Joe, you're giving us a lot of great advice. Now, I can also, there's what do you mean, why can't I do that, Cooks? Hold on, Cooks
says, well, technically he's right that you own those parts of it. You can't obstruct them from getting to their part.
Oh, so that would be considered like what,
obstruction? Yes, you can't obstruct them. It's like technically you don't own your mailbox that's attached to your house. The post office owns it. But you can't obstruct the post office from putting stuff in it. It's the same with the electrical stuff. And it's the same with the water gadgets and stuff inside your house. You have a water thing that turns the water on and off. A valve to measure how much water you're using. You can't obstruct that from being used. It's illegal.
All right, look, this is how my parents and my grandparents survived under communism, okay? Because you have to learn these survival techniques now. Eastern Europe has come here, okay? Trust me on this. This is an old-fashioned way of doing it. Joe was saying, put your iPhone in a metal box or in a microwave or wrap it in tinfoil. That's fine. The way when they were being bugged, when everybody was being bugged, one of the great ways, just turn the music on loud. That's how they used to do it in the old Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. Put on the music very loud, and then they can't hear you very well. That's just... Yeah, that's just, I can tell you more of these survival techniques as Obama's dictatorship grows. Yeah, I mean, Cooksey wouldn't have a problem because he blasts the music in his house anyway. Brittany likes to blast the music anyway, but that's what they used to do in the old Soviet Union, is put the music on very loud. See, these are these other kinds of survival techniques. 617-266-6868. Another thing, because money becomes worthless under socialism, you have to start buying stuff on the black market. You have to start thinking black market. Black market is the real economy. 617-266-6868. Nick, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Shoot, Nick.
A couple things real quickly.
Sure.
Snowden. How about Daniel Ellsberg? Boy, what a different story, wasn't it? Unfortunately, the Republicans got involved, which eventually led to Watergate. But, of course, the media did not have a big problem, especially the Times, in throwing his stuff right out there, didn't they? Thousands and thousands of pages of, classified information. And what? He became a hero. The thing with Hillary Clinton supposedly going on Fox, I smell a rat there. I mean, why would she go on there and supposedly Baird, and I like him, and Ron Sussman, I like her. They're supposed to be interviewing her, but I smell a rat. Somehow she'll come out looking real good on this. And that's real quickly. I forget who the reporter was or the commentator was talking about the Mark Cuban thing, saying that the basketball players are on a plantation. Yeah, they're on a plantation, all right, but unfortunately the slave master is the federal government because they want their 35% and up. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, Nick. Look, it's an open secret that Rupert Murdoch is close with the Clintons. He thinks that she'd be good on foreign policy because he's basically a warmonger. So he's happy with it. He'd rather have a Republican, obviously, a Jeb Bush or a Chris Christie. By the way, have you noticed Fox now is really plugging Jeb Bush awfully hard? He meets with 30 people in Arizona at an educational conference. Breaking news. Jeb Bush speaking. Jeb Bush is speaking to 30 people on education in Arizona. So he'd rather have another Bush. But he'll take Hillary. It's the ruling class. They just, it's basically Bush Light. He'll take Bush Light. 617-266-6868. This is from 978. Now, you see, the young people, the millennials, are already aware of this. Check this out. My friends and I in our 20s cover our cameras. I see. I didn't know that. They're already onto this sort of stuff. Maybe you should start covering your camera now there, Brittany. Brittany says she doesn't cover her camera. Working on this show, I'd start covering it awfully fast. 617-266-6868. Kevin, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome. Oh, Catherine. We'll go to Catherine first. Okay. Catherine, you're up next. Go.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask why Agenda 21 isn't more widely discussed. In your view, why isn't it? I mean, most people haven't even heard of it, and if our government has come up with this excellent way to save the planet, why isn't it being shouted from the rooftops?
Catherine, the reason why Agenda 21 is not being spoken about is because that's their real objective and that's their real goal. They want a one-world socialist government. That's why Obama praises the UN. That's why Obama is obsessed with climate change. They want a global carbon tax. You see, if you can control the entire climate, you control the world. You control the atmosphere. Now, think about it. Just stand back, Catherine, for a second, okay? Last weekend, we had the rally for Justina Pelletier, and then on Sunday we went to Cape Cod for the troops, for a little fundraiser for the troops. All I heard from the weather forecasters was cloudy, raining, cold. Saturday, sunny, beautiful. Sunday, sunny, beautiful. So if you can't even predict the weather the following day or the next day for the weekend, you're going to tell me you can predict the atmosphere and what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's such bogus.
If you make predictions about us looking at a World War III, then you're a fearmonger. But if you make predictions that in 13 years the world is going to have a man-made doomsday, then you are a caring citizen.
So, no, Catherine, the reason why, if the American people knew what our elites really intend for this country, there'd be a revolution. And that's why they want to keep Agenda 21 hidden.
Well, then I think we need to keep sharing the message about Agenda 21 because it's time for a revolution.
Thank you for that call, Catherine. Kevin, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on the great WRKO. Shoot, Kevin.
Jeff, since we're upon the weekend, I'm hoping that you enjoy it because last weekend you went back-to-back rallies out in the hot sun with some traveling involved, and Brittany Cooksey, I was flabbergasted when you was on the air live on Monday on our holiday for Memorial Day, and that was quite the tribute. But let that go. We've been so busy on domestic affairs and everything. No one is talking about what happened from the midterms last weekend in Europe, okay, where they're turning away from socialists, from France to England, the midterms, even in Athens and Greece. What happened over the weekend is a testament to what's happened here. It was a national referendum in so many countries. They want to have their borders closed. Everything that what Europe is doing, we are doing the opposite. And one last note, Jeff, on the Pope. The Pope really, I mean, we didn't hear any press because he's going to see the sexual abuse victims. All right, so that took the shadow away from his important trip and historic trip to the Middle East. But what is he doing calling Palestine a state? He knows what Palestine is. It's a territory. Until they want to change their referendum and acknowledge their neighbor of Israel, I just cannot believe even the Pope's words. It was very disheartening to myself, and I'm trying to hold the respect. What do you say, Jeff?
Thank you for that call, Kevin. Look, I'll be honest with you. Both Benedict and Pope John Paul II want what's called a two-state solution. So they'd like to see a Palestinian state living in peace, coexisting with Israel. So the Pope's statement to me, honestly, wasn't that surprising. No, to me, the big story, which has been underplayed by the media in this country, was the political revolution that took place recently in Europe, whereby the United Kingdom Independence Party, which is essentially Britain's Tea Party, shocked and destroyed the political establishment. You now have the populist right, Marine Le Pen, surging in France, Geert Wilders surging in the Netherlands. And basically they're running on a campaign of against the European Union, against socialism, against big government spending, and in particular against mass immigration and multiculturalism. Language, borders, and culture. And this, to me, is Kuhner country. What you're seeing overseas is what you're seeing, I believe, develop in this movement on this show. 53% of Americans, don't take my word for it, in a recent Gallup poll said they no longer trust either party. They no longer support either party. That's the United Kingdom Independence Party. We are tired of massive illegal immigration. We're tired of seeing our country balkanized and transformed right in front of our very eyes. Who gave the political elites of this country? Who gave them the permission that now basically in many parts of Boston, I can't hear English spoken? If I want to order a coffee, I can't order it in English. Here, take the rally for Justina Pelletier on Saturday. Okay? Our people there obviously spoke English. But as I'm walking through Boston Common, I commented to Grace right away. I said, I can't hear English. I feel like I'm in a foreign country. I hear Spanish. I hear Chinese. I hear Russian. I hear Arabic. I hear everything. I don't hear English. Who gave them the right? Did we ask for this? Did we give them our approval? And here is the point. Because whenever you make this argument, the left right away says, racist, racist, racist. Really? Well, in England, the backlash is not against Pakistanis or Indians. It's against my people, Eastern Europeans. They're flooded with Polish immigrants, Romanian immigrants, Croatian immigrants, Russian immigrants, Serbian immigrants. And the reason is simple. In town after town after town after town in Britain, in England, they're saying, my entire town has changed within 20 years. Its character, its nature, I can't understand, no one speaks English anymore. So, they're revolting against white Eastern Europeans. The backlash has been ferocious, and they're right. England is England. France is France. Mexico is Mexico. All I'm saying is, let America be America. 9:23 on the great WRKO. Open lines Friday. Anything you want to talk about is fair game. 617-266-6868. More with your calls. Next. Open lines Friday, 9:25 here on WRKO, AM 680. 617-266-6868. David, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, David.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, David.
Hey, Jeff.
last Saturday, I was in at the Free Justina rally in at the State House.
Okay.
Yeah, and anyways, in Sunday's papers, I checked out the Globe and I checked out the Herald, and there was no coverage. It was like a media blackout on the story. And then I don't do television, Jeff, but I asked my friends and everything if they saw it on TV, if there was coverage on the electronic media, and they said they didn't see any coverage of it on the electronic media. I know you mentioned a couple of days ago that Fox 25 covered it.
Yeah, Fox 25, My Fox, was it Channel 5, Brittany? My Fox Boston. Yeah, Channel 5 and My Fox Boston. We also saw Channel 4, Channel 7 at the rally. I don't know if they filed anything, but I do know the television stations were there. And David, I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Bob DeLeo had his people in the audience. Mini-Me had his people in the audience. They were stunned at the size of the crowd. It went around the corner. It went down the street. It literally went back into the common. Cooksey asked a state police officer. They had to call in the police for traffic because it was causing congestion. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, a lot of people showed up. It was a huge, huge, huge event. Even the police were surprised how many people showed up.
Yeah, because I was there, Jeff. That's why I think it was unconscionable that the Herald and the Globe did a blackout on the story.
Yeah, well, my understanding is the Herald didn't have the staff available to cover it. They're very, very thinly staffed on the weekends. And the Globe is never going to cover it because they're in the tank for Mini-Me. Anything that humiliates the Volpatrick and DCF and that the Soviet Commissar Polanowitz, they're going to cover it up. Look, the Boston Globe is essentially the Democratic Party's Pravda in Massachusetts. You think they're going to want to admit that DCF is responsible for torturing and kidnapping a 16-year-old girl? And that now this is going to be a permanent stain upon Mini-Me? Their dream is to have Mini-Me in the White House. 617-266-6868. Open lines Friday. Anything you want to talk about is fair game. Chris, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome. Hello, Chris. Did we lose Chris? Okay. Joanne, you're up next on the Kuhner Report. Welcome. Hello, Joanne?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, you're on the air.
I first want to thank you for everything, Jeff. The show is so informative, and thank you for the tinfoil. This morning I was just thinking, what can I do with my cell phone? And I really appreciate that gentleman that came on, electrical engineer, who gave us that information, answering, how you think something, then your questions are answered. And also, I want to thank Natalie, and also, who's the one from Beverly? I can't remember. Brenda. I wish they would go Saturday to is there a question period with Elizabeth Warren at the South Meeting House to say what they think, because they're very articulate. And again, thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling, Joanne. I appreciate it. 617-266-6868. Look, we know why the Democrats hate this show. We know why the libs hate this show. I've said it to people repeatedly. This show goes up against basically every vested interest in the state. The Chamber of Commerce, the homosexual lobby, the public unions, the deadbeats, the welfare people, the takers, the Democrats, the environmentalists, the liberals, the establishment media. We're taking them all on, my friends. 9:37 here on the great WRKO. Open lines Friday, 617-266-6868. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. You can also text us at 680-680. This is from 617. Hi, Jeff. I just did a little striptease in front of my iPhone. The damn thing went into a vibrate, shut off, and fell on the floor, camera side down. How insulting, laugh out loud. Well, look, I didn't want to say anything, but I can blow this whole Facebook NSA spying thing out of the water. I'm going to save us. Don't worry about it, Kuhner Country. I'm going to just strip, and I'll do it. I'll just put on the camera. This is for you guys in the NSA. I'll start taking my clothes off, and they're going to, it's just going to overload. The whole system is going to shut down. They go, if we have to see people like Jeff Kuhner, nude and naked, I quit. Forget it. It's not worth it. So, and we'll also put Cooksey in the shower. If I don't finish him off, Cooksey will. 617-266-6868. Bill, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Bill.
Nice win for the Rangers last night, huh, Jeff? who do you like in the Chicago-LA series?
I like Chicago to win the whole thing, Bill.
I think so, too. I would love to see a Rangers-Chicago final, Rangers-Blackhawks final. That was all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you for that call, Bill. No, actually, I was happy that the Rangers paid back the Canadians, les Canadiens, for beating the Bruins. You know, the Russians have a saying, revenge is a dish best served cold. And the Rangers served it nice, on ice. 617-266-6868. Anita, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome. Hi, Anita. Hi, Anita.
Yes. Hi. I want to talk about the convention center and the expansion that our legislature just voted in. I'm hearing that it's going to siphon all kinds of tax dollars from all the cities and towns in Massachusetts to go to Boston. I'm also hearing that the construction contracts are secret and will not be exposed.
Anita, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, it's exactly what I'm hearing. A lot of Democratic cronies, these contractors, are going to line their pockets with our money. We have been dumping good money after bad into that convention center. It is an absolute boondoggle. It's an embarrassment. And where were the Republicans? Where was Brad Jones? Where was the Republican leadership? Do you notice how many of them voted for the convention center? How many of them flipped and turned? It's unbelievable. So I've been saying this now for a long time. The single biggest obstacle to a revitalized, rejuvenated, real Republican Party in this state is Brad Jones. He's worse than useless as the House Minority Leader. This guy is laid down and love me Brad. Whatever Bob DeLeo wants, Bob DeLeo gets. Whatever Mini-Me wants, Mini-Me gets. So even on something as obvious as this boondoggle, you want to talk about throwing money down a rat hole, where was the Republican leadership? How come they didn't make a stink? How come they didn't take this to the airwaves? How come they didn't fight these guys every step of the way? Instead, I'll tell you what Brad Jones is interested in. It's his corner office and his little parking spot and his little perks. Because you see, for a guy like Brad Jones, Boehner Brad, being House Minority Leader is as far as he's ever going to get in life. This guy's been living off the public teat his entire life. So, as far as he's concerned, if DeLeo throws him a few crumbs once in a while, he's a happy man. So the insurgents in the party, those that want to fight and hold the Democrats accountable, Sean O'Connell, Jeff Deal, Jim Lyons, Mark Lombardo, Leah Cole, Jeff Kuhner, Holly Robichaud. For him, they're public enemy number one. This guy fears the real Republican reformers in his own party more than he does, God as my witness, the criminal Democrats who run the state. So nothing will ever change in this state until we get rid of Brad Jones. And that's why this November is so important, because we have to elect real Republicans that will then, when they get elected, have a leadership race, a leadership vote, whereby we get a real leader, a.k.a. Sean O'Connell, and get rid of that clown and buffoon, Brad Jones. Just think about this. Okay? Think about it. Imagine Shauna O'Connell leading the Republicans on welfare, on Jeremiah Oliver, on DCF, on Justina Pelletier, on the convention center, on the health connector. She'd be their worst nightmare. And that's why the Democrats, I'm telling you already, the text machine is lining up. It's lighting up now. When I criticize Obama, nothing. When I criticize the mini-me, nothing. The moment I go after Brad Jones, you got to see the progressives and the liberals defend this guy. He's their mole. He's their man. He controls the Republican Party for them. He's basically, Brad Jones is a fifth columnist. 617-266-6868. Eric, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hello?
Hi, Eric.
Yeah, hi, man. Just wanted to chime in on the Shinseki thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that are pounding their chest, screaming for this guy to get to step down. And I think that's usually the answer anytime anything like this happens, is that, oh, we got to get rid of this guy. And when that happens, everybody seems to think that the problem goes away. And it doesn't go away. This is a systemic issue that's been going on basically since we've started the VA. And, you know, it's a thing where, you know, when people get into the system, they usually get treated pretty well in most cases. And I think most veterans would feel that way. But I think that the situation is way deeper than a person that happens to be in charge. And by getting rid of him, I just think that it's an easy target. It's a situation where everybody's going to go, well, we're going to get rid of him. I mean, this is what they do all the time. I mean, they have a big show. Everybody screams. Everybody pounds their chest. We all have to get rid of him and all this. And then they think the problem goes away, and it doesn't.
The problem doesn't go away, but the guy's completely incompetent. It's a first step. Now, for example, you mentioned that most people are happy with the VA, the veterans. They're not. They're not. I mean, that's just not true.
I think if people are in the system, Jeff, I think if you ask most veterans out there, they're going to say that they get pretty good care, and they do.
I've never heard one veteran tell me that. In fact, don't even take my word for it. It's on the front page of USA Today. The Veteran Affairs Department's own Inspector General came out with a preliminary report saying that the failures in the VA are, quote, systemic.
That's what I said, yeah.
Throughout the entire country. So, I mean, you're telling me they're getting good treatment when the Inspector General is saying himself that you have these huge waiting lines? That people have been put on secret waiting lists, waiting 3, 6, 9 months to get treatment? You're telling me people are happy with that?
For a long time, Jeff? This has been going on for a long time. I'm not defending anybody here. I think it's horrible how we treat our veterans. But I mean,
but it's gotten worse. It's obvious it's gotten worse.
I don't think so. I think there's more veterans out there because we've had wars and stuff happening.
Well, no, that's not true, actually. The number of veterans has actually decreased. That's another myth. We have more veterans now than we did after World War II? Come on, who are we kidding? We have more veterans now than we did after Vietnam? Who are we kidding? No, that's another myth. No, what's happened is this. And that's why you don't want to throw Shinseki under the bus. That's the same thing with all you liberals. Nobody in this administration gets held accountable. Obama campaigned on the abuses in the VA against Bush. He blamed Bush.
All this is going to do, Jeff, is this is going to give, is out there. It's going to give, Obama a bloody nose, and that's, and I mean, I know you guys want that, and that's cool. But I don't think that this is going to change anything as far as the problems with the VA.
Eric, this is where you've just touched on the fundamental difference. You think that we're just like you. You think that we conservatives, I'm being honest with you, that for us it's all politics. That you went after Bush over Valerie Plame, but you really didn't care. And you guys went after Bush on all these trumped-up scandals, but deep down you really didn't care. And so you think for us, we just want to bloody Obama's nose. We just want to humiliate him for the sake of humiliating him. No.
So they're not really
we care about this country. We love this country.
Jeff, come on. I mean, both sides have been doing this.
Hey, hold on. Easy. I look at him. You see, Eric, I meet the veterans. I deal with them almost on a weekly basis. I hold fundraisers for them. I go to events for them. You know what they're telling me? They can't stand this guy in the White House. You know what they're telling me? The situation has gotten infinitely worse over the last 5 years. There are now 40 people who have died in Phoenix alone waiting to be treated. And Shinseki, hold on.
I'm not listening to this at all. I'm just saying that this stuff has been going on for a very long time, and I'm not trying to lessen the problem with this.
What is it? Okay, first of all, hold on. What is it? On the one hand, the veterans are happy with their care. On the one hand, there's no problem. Everybody's happy with it. On the other hand, this has been going on now for decades. So what is it? Is it good care or is it bad care?
No, the problems have been there. I'm just saying in general. I said in general they seem to be okay with it in the most part.
So why is the Inspector General saying that these waiting lists and people waiting in lines and all these abuses is, quote, systemic throughout the entire VA, in hospital after hospital after hospital.
I was in the military, and I mean, when I was, and a lot of the hospitals are the exact same hospitals that the military people go to, because I mean, like, because retirees and stuff like that would come into the same hospitals, and I got extremely good care in there, and very thorough care and very thoughtful care, and the people were great when I had to go into the hospital and stuff like that.
You're the first guy.
Huh?
You're the first guy. For every person you tell me got great care, I'll find you 10 who say they got horrible care. So you're going to tell me that 10 to 1, it's 10 bad, 1 good, that the system is working? Now, here's the question. I got to ask you this question. Okay, this is the question I want to ask you. Why can you never hold this president accountable? He campaigned on the VA. He was told about it in the transition. The Washington Post uncovered memo after memo after memo where 4 years ago Shinseki was told about everything that was going on, and he did nothing.
I agree with you,
you don't want to hold on. You don't want to hold the DCF accountable with dead children. That's okay. You don't want to hold people stealing money over the probation department accountable. Okay. The president lied about Obamacare. You don't want to hold him accountable. Now we have veterans dying, and you call up and say, "Oh, Shinseki, he's my guy."
Look, I think that there was a hell of a lot of people out there that were like that they were seem to get very interested in the veterans now that there's a scandal in this situation, and there was a lot of situations where they tried to pass things to help veterans, and that got held up in the Senate with the filibusters. They wanted to do something to help homeless veterans.
Blame the Republicans, huh?
No, it's filibustered. They wouldn't let them even take a vote on it.
Blame the Republicans, huh? By the way, spending on veterans has been at record high. I mean, it's just incredible. Look, now he can't defend Shinseki. He can't, VA, he can't just, now, see, one of the other callers said, this has gone back to the Civil War. See, now they want to blame the Civil War for veterans, the veteran scandal. Just, liberalism is a mental disorder. Look, and the president runs the country. The Democrats control the Senate. They campaigned on veterans issues. They were told about this going back years. Who do they blame? The Republicans. You have to be a liberal. 617-266-6868 to think like that. Chris, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Talk to you. I'm calling in to just emphasize the topic of Israel and our relationship to Israel.
Yes.
And we need to really strengthen our understanding. It's a complicated issue, and there's an event coming up this weekend in Newton Center, being put on by Christians and Jews United for Israel, and it's called United Jerusalem Day Celebration and Parade, and it's Sunday, June 1st, from 12:30 to 5 o'clock p.m. at Newton Center. It's going to be really fun for kids. There's music, food, rides, speakers, and opportunity to learn more about the situation and to show our support for Israel, and fun for the whole family.
Thank you for that call. And I want to say this very, very clearly to everybody, because nobody supports Israel stronger than Jeff Kuhner. Israel now, Israel forever. 617-266-6868. Bill, you're up next. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Oh, hello, and thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
By the way, I agree 100% with that last caller. Israel now, Israel forever. I'm 100% in favor of that. But earlier this morning, you wanted people to give a definition of the foreign policy of President Obama.
One sentence, Bill, yeah.
Okay. Preemptive appeasement. Period.
Bill, I like it. That's pretty good. Now, Bill, I got to tell you, I'll tell you right now, it's going to come down, we have peace through Gulf and preemptive appeasement. I think those are 1, 2. You know what, Cooks? Maybe we should do a little poll on that or something. Because this one could stick to him. 617-266-6868, 953 on WRKO. Don't touch that dial. More of your calls next. 958 on WRKO. Vinny, you're up next. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was Vinny. It's not. Apparently today is Vinny's last treatment for his cancer. To Vinny out there, hang tough, my friend. We want you to beat the cancer. And when you do, Kuhner Country is going to throw you one hell of a party. Mike, thanks for holding. Go, Mike.
I'll certainly be there for Ben. He's a great man. I wish him well, and he'll be all right. I just want to ask you, any news with the Pelletier girl, and give us an update, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. There's a court case pending. Apparently we'll find out something in the next week or two. Our rally was immensely successful. It put a lot of pressure on the Democrats. It stunned Mini-Me, stunned John Polanowitz. I believe, from everything I'm hearing, Justina may go home to her parents. Let's keep our fingers crossed. My friends, I gotta go. Remember, you've been listening to Boston's Bulldozer. You can hear me every day here on WRKO, Monday to Friday. I'll be back on Monday, same time, same place. Have a great, blessed weekend. And remember, together, we're beating liberals. No, not just beating them. We're driving them crazy. One day at a time. God bless you and have a great weekend.